Hello, WCW, and welcome to the Week 1 recap for Season 6 of the Windy City Warmongers League. With me again this week, the True Blue. How's it going?
It's going great. How about yourself, Chuck?
Doing pretty well. Looking forward to getting into covering some of the action from our first week here.
Yeah, and a quick shout out. I already see that Velociraptor is in here, and also Grazie's in here. So, and Grazie is he is helping me out with my predictions. I remember last week he said that he struggles against goblins, and goblins did their thing apparently.
Yeah, I need to go back and watch the replay of that game. Before we get into the coverage, did you want to talk about any other happenings around the league, or do you want to jump right into the coverage?
Yeah, so just a couple of things. I saw some, we'll call it drama, this week from a turn 16 foul. Turn 16 fouls very, very, I think it's a valid tactic, especially in an internal league. And then the second one is the concede. You can't concede unless you have 2 or less people or you have an in-real-life emergency. That's the thing. Velociraptor, it's all good. You didn't know. I guess I should have been more upfront about it, and this is part of the thing, that this is my first season of being a commissioner in a bigger league. So I have a lot of learning curves to go as well, Velociraptor. So I'm sorry for not posting something about it. I just thought it was kind of common knowledge, but I shouldn't assume things. So that's kind of the stuff I just want to talk about real quick, and now we can get into the fun stuff.
Sure. Well, on that, we've got Orkney Harder versus the Bavarian Knights as our first game in the Nelson division, and we had a 1-1 draw go down. Looks like it was kind of just a bashy little game. 59 blocks for the Orcs, 39 blocks for the Bavarian Knights. Not a lot of... The Orcs held on to the ball for 68% of their half, for 43% of their half, but for the most part it looks like there was just not a lot of ball handling, a lot of bashing, and yeah.
Yeah, and that is I'm just looking at the team. I think that they already played this week, so this probably happened this week, but that is a nice blitzer on the Barovian Knights.
Let's take a look real quick. Team roster.
That is nice.
On the Bavarian Knights, yes, the Agiet blitzer, that is the dream. That's exactly what you're looking for. Yeah, that did happen this week. During the first game, we didn't have any development go down on either team. We did have these 2 injuries happened in the first game. The movement busted blocker and the AV busted blitzer. The AV busted blitzer I'm super sad about, but it looks like he did pick up the MVP as well, so maybe you keep him around and see how that first level of development goes.
Maybe that's how you do it, but you have enough cash. Maybe an extra week of waiting just to get an apothecary and the player, or you get the player then the apothecary next week.
Yeah, I think you want the apothecary before you get the player, especially on a team with AV7 linemen.
Yeah,
because you're gonna be looking at some heavy damage. But yeah, this team got a key piece of development. We'll talk about that a little bit more. Well, I guess we've already talked about it, but yeah, that's really good going forward. But in the first week we didn't have any development on either of those teams, and it looks like just kind of a hard fought draw.
Yeah.
The second game in the Nelson division, the Castlevania's Rejects versus Killer Confessions. Killer Confessions had a dead ghoul. The saddest. That's what
Ghouls
you don't
are meant
want.
to die.
Well, but that's what you don't want early in a undead/necromantic team. Like you want your ghouls to hang around. That's an expensive player and the only thing that doesn't have regen. So, and on the flip side, the Castlevania's Rejects picked up a level up on their ghoul, and I don't know if you've taken a look at this, but this is a really good one.
Oh God!
Castlevania Rejects, where are they at here? Boom! Tetsuya has picked up an Agi 4 ghoul.
Yeah, so if anybody doesn't know Tetsuya, he plays in Rebel with me, and in the minors playoffs in round 1, he had an Agi 4 ghoul on an undead team that happened to just make like a 5% TD, and now he has another one. So I'm scared.
Yep. So Agi-Up's going all around in the Nelson division, apparently.
Yeah, that's intense.
But
Killer, and he gets a free Pokemon, just a free zombie now.
Yep.
That's also nice.
So Castlevania Rejects making out extremely well out of that first game. That's a great start for that team.
Yeah, and all right, so we go to Camptown Cocktrotters versus Woody War Dancer and Co.
Yep.
That was the game where I was talking about the concede that happened.
Yep.
And it looks like the MVPs just got put on bad pieces, which sucks.
Yep.
Yeah.
And hang on, let me go back to that. Did we have any other SPP? We had, it looks like there was a couple of injury rolls and a single pass. Is that what that indicates, I think?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, you're already on your second... You're already on your second War Dancer.
Let's see if we can look at that team. Camptown Cocktrotters, they're at 820 TV on that team, and the other is the Woody. So they had to.
Woody War Dancer.
Did they have to replace a War Dancer already?
Yeah, after a week 2 game, they had to replace it.
Wow, Woody too. All right.
Yeah, but having strip ball this early is nice. Having 3 players of Vandy pass away from a touchdown, from a level, not a touchdown, is nice.
Yep.
So,
absolutely.
Just play that Andy Davo game where you pass every single time just to get SPP.
Pass every turn and do the 2-turn touchdowns all the time. Get as many TDs as possible. That's the way to play any elf team. I'm embracing the Inarian mindset of playing elves. You just score if you can. Like the first question is, can I score this turn? If the answer is yes, you do it, and then you go from there.
All right, so you have fun with that. I won't do that. I like playing the more control style game.
Fair enough. I think if you want to play control, get some AV9. But
control the pace, not control the pitch.
Sure. Defense is just offense with extra steps. That's my mantra from now on. So now we have the last game in the Nelson division, the Goldblood Knights versus the Bulbous Boys. Is that am I saying that right? The Bulbous Boys? Is that? Yeah, sounds right. We had
we're just gonna go with it.
We had a 1-0 victory for the Goblins.
Yeah, and it was a good day because Grazy said, I suck versus Goblins, so I picked the Goblins last week. That's all I remember.
Right.
And I got that pick right.
Absolutely. And no real damage done to either team. So there were a couple of injuries, but none of them were perms. So both teams just picked up a little SPP.
The thing that really sticks out to me is that 35 blocks succeeded against 36 as Goblins has to feel good.
Oh, that's pretty great. Keeping up with blocks is insane. And I do see there were 6 KOs inflicted, so it sounds like the Goblins probably got a little bit of a steamroll going on at some point where they were able to make extra blocks just because they had more players on the pitch. But they were just KOs, so no harm, no foul, right? Or maybe there were fouls. I don't know. All right. With that said, I guess we'll go into looking at day 2, and we'll just ignore the results for now and talk about our predictions.
Yeah.
So we have Orc Me Harder versus the Woody War Dancer and Company. I really think the Wood Elves are going to pull that one out. I don't know. What do you think?
I think they're going to pull it out, but something's going to die. Something very good.
Yeah, that sounds like a solid prediction. Next up, we've got Killer Confessions versus DeBulbous Boys. So, Killer Confessions, I believe, Necro team. Is that correct?
It is the Undead team
versus the Goblins. Yep. So, Undead versus Goblins. What's your prediction there?
Let me look. That's a still full Undead team.
Mm-hmm.
Goblins. Let's see. I'm probably going to go with Goblins. I just feeling it.
Just feeling the Goblins.
Let's see Goblins make playoffs. I would be ecstatic if that happened.
That really would be a thing of beauty. You always got to cheer for the stunty teams. I have a feeling that I think I'm gonna be the dissenter here. I think the Undead are gonna pull it off. They've got the tools, and
they do have the tools. I'm just going with the hype train.
There you go. Well, we'll see if DeBulbous Boys pull it off. I will probably be swayed in my week 3 predictions.
So
game 3 we have our Bretonian versus Bretonians, which my prediction would have been a Bretonian team's going to win this, and I would have been right.
Man, you are on fire.
Absolutely. Then we've got the Castlevania Rejects versus the Camptown Cocktrotters. The Cocktrotters down a couple of key pieces in that one.
Yeah, that's what happens as Norse, is things die.
Yep.
And not much that you can do about it. I'd have to go Tetsuya.
Yep, Tetsuya has the silly agi piece, and I would agree. Norse on 11 pieces with loners versus a healthy necromantic team. I think they've got the edge. So I think that covers it for the Nelson division. Anything else? Any other thoughts about the Nelson division?
Not really. Besides, we have a Wood Elf team that is leading the way in the division, but there's still some chances for everybody to catch up.
Yep. I look to see that Ghoul on Tetsuya's team going on the list here in a few levels.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, is his TV really that low? Okay, it was before he purchased things. Sorry, I'm just in the Dillinger division, and I'm just crying at the High Elf team.
Yep. There is a lot of damage that has been done here. So, week 1 we have the Meats versus Who Wants a Woody, and in this game, the Wood Elves definitely pulled it out, and I believe we have an unknown level for that. Yes, so Squints has a level on a War Dancer. He lost a lineman. I think it was AV busted.
It was the movement busted one, I think.
Movement busted. Okay, yeah. But lost a lineman. You know, a movement busted lineman, I think I would have kept around. Because what else do you do at this point whenever you have 4 pieces on your team?
Yeah, so my question is, what does he do now? He has 115 cash.
Mm-hmm.
He could, what's that, 90K for a catcher? Oh, yep. That's expensive than I thought.
But
he could buy a tree.
You could
out of everything.
You could buy a tree. I'm not a fan of buying the tree, honestly. I think the tree's fine. It's a good piece. And maybe you do just to eliminate something that you have to put on the line. But right now you're putting loners on the line anyways, right? You're not putting your own pieces, quote unquote, up on there. I think filling out the roster faster gets you to a place where you're not right now, more likely than not, your MVPs are going to waste, right? So that's what I'm afraid of, is losing that development to loners stealing my MVPs. So I kind of think just getting more players is better than getting one big player. But I don't know. Could go either way.
Yeah, he could go two linemen. He could Velociraptor saying by a thrower, which I think is something that you could consider in that situation as well.
Absolutely.
So
yeah, I think just getting live bodies that you get to keep the SPP on is the route I would be going down.
Definitely.
Next game up, we had my game, the Sithral Warriors versus Grin and Barrett. The Sithral Warriors took this one down. I was so sad this game, and the dice rolls don't bear it out. Excuse the pun, but there were a couple of things here that stuck out to me during this game. Bonehead failing 60% of the time, failing 40% of the time instead of the 17-ish% it's supposed to fail. What was the other one? The Bonehead. Oh, and Jump Up. Jump Up also failing 40% of the time. So we just didn't get to do stuff when we wanted to do stuff. And some of those blocks, like getting that Jump Up block, unlocks extra blocks. The Boneheads, I made blitzes early, 3-die blitzes with my bear, and he just decided he wasn't going to play for the first 2 turns of the game, and then promptly got himself badly hurt. So, yeah, it was I expected to lose this game, but I expected to pick up a little bit more SPP along the way. That was what made me sad, not losing the game, just not picking up any SPP. Unfortunately for Duperman, he didn't pick up very much SPP either. He only got the 1 touchdown, threw several passes that did not work out for him. I mean, he did better than I did, obviously, on SPP, but
yeah,
what was his pass percentage?
That is how I always play elves. Is when I'm trying to go for the vanity pass, I just throw a 1 at something. That's to reroll, and then I throw a 1 at something else.
Yep.
So I can't vanity pass with elves, so I know the feel, and it sucks because everybody else can.
Yeah, these passes and catches were all 2-up rolls. So we had 66% success on the 2-up passes and 40% success on the 2-up catches. So, yeah, just could not generate that pass SPP the way that he wanted to whatsoever. So I think that's about... Any other thoughts on that game?
No, you're the expert on that one. So
Yep. Next up, then, we've got the Hellspawn Violators versus the Firstborn of Arda, which this was the Valk game. We had a Move Busted Bull and a Niggled Bull, which the Move Busted Bull took the long walk to the glue factory, and so what do you think about this one?
That was It was a fun one just because Valk had some fun with it. He killed a couple bulls, and as a high elf team, you don't expect that to happen. So that was fun to see. I was expecting him to win, but I was not expecting the damage that he caused along the way.
Yep. I only see 1 injury inflicted, so one of those injuries on the bulls was it?
They were both caused by fans.
Oh, they were both. Was it a surf or throw a rock, or how'd those go down?
One of them was a surf. The other one, I wasn't sure.
I think I remember someone saying in chat that there was a rock thrown. I think there was a rock thrown at a bull at some point. So, crowd very angry during this game.
Yeah.
So, hopefully the Violators are able to rebuild a bit and come back from that. That's never what you want to see on your Chaos Dwarf team, losing your 2 most expensive positionals. But you still have your Chorfs, which are your core of your team. Hopefully they'll be able to.
Yeah, 5 of them.
Yep. Yeah. And then finally we had the Women of War versus the Weekend Times crew. Looking at this one, we had plenty of blocks, not a lot of damage done. There were no permanents done, and neither team picked up any development. Looks like it was just a fairly straightforward game for the Amazons.
Yeah, and I feel like I wouldn't do Moxie justice if I didn't say that his troll absolutely shit the bed. If you thought your Crocs did bad, look at the dice roll.
Look at the dice roll. Let's take a look at the dice rolls. We have really stupid 53%. That's pretty awful.
Yeah.
Were those all 2 pluses, or were there some 4 pluses in there?
I'm assuming most of them were 2 pluses.
Okay. I didn't watch the game, but yeah, if those were all 2 pluses, that's awful.
Yeah.
Sometimes, due to things outside of your control, your troll can get cut off from those assists. So I've seen some games where you have a lot of really stupid rolls. It's happened to me before on Nurgle, with I get cut off, and like you might as well try and stand it up. So you throw the die, but yeah. All right. So looking good here. Week 2 schedule looks like we've already had 1 game played, but we've got some other games scheduled. We have Squintz's what's left of Squint's team, the Who Wants a Woody, versus Grin and Barrett. I don't know who set the schedule where I've got to play the 2 Wood Elf teams week 1 and 2, but I have to have words with someone about that one.
You should probably thank them or something, because you have some AB7 to bash on.
Well, I would rather have had some of the other matchups out there and gotten the Wood Elves later when I have some skills to actually to deal with them. I'm hoping that this one turns into a shootout, unlike my previous game with Duberman. But we'll see how this one goes. Maybe my bear will start the steamroll for me.
Yeah, I'm actually predicting that Squints wins by 3 here.
Squints wins by 3. Dang. Are you predicting a 4-1 or a 3-0?
I don't know. I just know that he's going to win by 3. It might be 6-3 for all I know.
I'll accept a 6-3. I will accept a 6-3. That is that would give me plenty of SPP. Kislev are really bad early on, so I played this team not fully expecting not to go to playoffs, but I want to have a respectable season and get some development. That's all I want. So I will accept the 6-3 loss.
All right.
Firstborn of
So
Arda.
who do you think is going to win?
Who do I think is going to win? Oh, it's definitely Who Wants a Woody.
Okay.
He's got healthy war dancers, and Kislev are terrible until they get skills. So,
all right, perfect. I just wanted to make sure because I'm setting it up on the spreadsheet. Remember?
Yes, absolutely. So, Firstborn of Arda versus We Have the Meats. That is, what was the Firstborn of Arda again? They are the High Elf team. Yep.
Yeah. So let's just say the luck turned. They still won, but the luck turned.
Right. Yep. I think there were quite a few players that are no longer with us. So yeah, we can talk about the results of that game in depth next week. But yes, so some trouble there. I think I probably would have predicted the same result, just because Lizardmen early on just don't quite have the tools to deal with elves yet.
But they kind of did, if we're going to talk about that diving tackle.
Oh, well, they didn't get that till after this. Or no, they got that before this game, didn't they?
Yeah, they got it week 1.
They sure did. Did we finish talking about... We didn't finish talking about week 1, did we?
We just didn't talk about the teams.
Oh, that's right. There we go. So yeah, we on this team. Let's go take a look at that. On the We Have the Meats. Why am I missing it? There they are. We have a Saurus who leveled up and grabbed diving tackle. That's amazing.
Yeah.
So
I don't hate it as a level up. I just hate it at the position that they took it.
Sure. Because you really want those core block guard esque skills early on, and you want them on your source as soon as possible, just so you can execute your plan A. Until then, like the Lizardmen team, deals with a lot of 1 and 9s and things like that, right? So those early doubles really mess with you. Personally, I'm a huge fan of the traditional go with dodge or just ignore the double early on, but diving tackle is definitely an interesting choice. It gives you an option that you don't typically have quite yet, especially if you can stick that next to your Crocs and keep those two together. If you can get your Crocs and that guy on a key ball player or a key positional that you want to lock down, that guy ain't going anywhere.
No, they are, just because they're going to roll 6 on the dodge. It's okay. I've seen this happen on the Andy Davo stream. I'm an expert.
Yep. I can confirm on my Lizard team, tackle plus prehensile tail does nothing. They're fake skills. But, all right. Yeah. So going down week 2, we have the Weekend Times crew versus the Sithral Wardens. This is the Weekend Times crew is
Orcs versus
Wood Elves. Yes, yep. So we've got Moxie's Orcs, who are lacking in development but is a full healthy squad, versus Duberman's team, which did take a movement busted lineman that he hung on to. But is out that game, so we're going to have one loner lineman and an otherwise healthy but undeveloped Wood Elf team. I like the Wood Elves in that matchup. What do you think?
I actually like the Orcs in the matchup. You have enough block that you should be able to get a couple of removals early, and then I just predict that it's just going to be kind of a snowball removal kind of game. I'm just feeling it that way.
I agree. Once you get a little bit of development on there, we'll see how it works out. It depends on how well the dodge away works for the Wood Elves, and if they're able to just minimize the blocks and run around and do their elf nonsense.
Yeah.
So.
All right. So now we have the Women of War versus the Hellspawn Violators.
So typically, I would just right off the bat go Hellspawn Violators, dwarfs versus Amazons, right? Like, I just want to go dwarves. But we have a dwarf team that has 5 dwarfs and 1 bull. So, what do you think?
Well, no bull.
Here? Oh, no bull. We'll have a bull next week. So, yeah, 5 dwarfs and hobgoblins. And on the other side, we have a healthy other than a, is this an M&G or a nickel? Yeah, we have an M&G thrower, but an otherwise healthy Amazon team. It's going to be 11 versus 11, and the dwarf team's going to have a bunch of 87. What is your prediction here?
Ooh, let's see. I'm probably going to lean... I'm going to go with RK this time. I think Tackle will do a thing, and 87 breaks. If he can play it smart, positionally, where he can't just get outpaced, I think RK should be able to win.
So, I think I actually want to go with the Amazon team. I think they have a speed advantage, and there's no strength advantage at all on the side of the dwarves. So the Amazons are able to go toe to toe. If they're able to remove a few hobgoblins, they can just lock down the chaos dwarves because there's only 5 of them. It'll depend on how the early turns go and if something snowballs one way or the other. Well, look, there is going to be an inducement situation here, right? So what's the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9? So there's going to be 3 hobgoblins, which are 40k each. So that's 120.
But if they have 9, then it's only going to be 2 hobgoblins, right?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, okay. So 2 hobgoblins. So 80,
820.
So 820 versus
940.
The Amazons, which are 940, but they're picking up 50k So they're going to be
990.
990.
So a wizard situation, which could happen. You could see a bribe and a babe as well. There's also chainsaw that I like to use when my Chorf team in Windy City World Cup qualifier got decimated. I just wanted to go for death and destruction, so I went chainsaw a lot.
Yep. Versus AV7, that's definitely a strong option. Given that it's 150k separation, that makes it quite a bit closer, because that amount, a good lightning bolt or a bribe well used could alter that situation quite a bit. So that's almost too close to call, but I'm going to stick with my Amazon prediction.
All right,
and then that was the last one for this. So now we go up to the big league, the Capone division.
Which we have not played any games, so we can predict all of them, and it'll be fun.
Sweet. So let's talk about how things went down week 1. We had Experiments Gone Wrong versus Aerial Assault, and it looks like the first half was going okay, and then you killed a bunch of things. Does that sound about right?
So the first half was pretty much Aerial Assault. I would put my Beast and Nurgle in a situation, and he'd just be like, "Oh, I don't want my players here. I'm just going to dodge away, break through tentacles, no problem."
Yep.
But he did really well in trying to get me to my right flank, and I overcommitted a little bit, and then he flooded my left flank, partly by dodging away from tentacles.
Yep.
So that was annoying. He scored. I had a kind of a bullshit turn 8 score to even it up, and then just the offense. He had a wizard, so I tried to bait it out early in the half, and then he tried to make some plays on the ball. They just didn't work, and I ended up winning. So
how many turns did you have on the turn 8 score? What was the story behind that?
It was just a 2-turn.
Okay.
So it was basically I just tried to get as much forward progress as possible. I had 3 scoring threats, all Pestigors, and I just somehow got the score out of there. I don't know how I did it to this day.
Very nice. I'll have to go back and take a look at that, because a 2-turn, it's possible, but it is not easy to do with Nurgle. That involves some GFIs and some nonsense.
Yep.
All right. Well, we did have a plus strength plus movement, I think, lineman that is now gone. Or was it just busted up? Let's take a look and see if he's still on.
Plus strength, plus movement. That is. Was that minus AV? I think it was minus AV.
Yeah, it is.
He still has it.
Yeah, it's AV busted. Still around for now. May or may not make it. We also had this wrestle dodge lineman who took a movement bust. I'm sure that one will stay around, though, because it can still do its job.
Yeah, that one, I think I got that one off of Val.
Yep.
That was the only thing that was consistently working in that first half, was Val's. So.
And then we have this to be determined level up on your ball carrier Pestigor, which, have you made a decision on that, or is that still up for debate?
It's still up for debate as of now, but I am leaning one way. I just don't want to give Boba any inklings on what I'm going to do.
You heard it here first. He's taking Prehensile Tail. All right.
Fuck, how'd you know?
And let's move on to the next game. We had Ender Shadow versus the Surge of Saltspire. I remember predicting this one for Golgothan because I like antagonizing Striker. But I watched this game. I believe you watched it as well?
I didn't have as much time to watch it as much as I wanted, but I caught a little bit of it.
Well, it was a fun game to watch. I was actually surprised by how Golgothan played this game because I felt like he based up a ton versus these lizards, and whenever I've played against him in the past, he has not engaged me that way whatsoever. So it seemed like he had a different game plan versus a different and a much more aggressive game plan versus Striker than I've typically seen him use against myself. So
Well, maybe he was being more aggressive just because the other sort. Well, Striker has some really well developed Saurus, so I don't know what he was thinking.
yeah,
Oh man!
but it did result in the guard Blodgestep Gutter Runner is now fully dead. So
Well, Striker, you did us a good service.
Yep. So one rat down. The best of the rats are still hanging around though. So let's see. Has he hired a replacement? Yes. So we now have a new unleveled gutter runner in his place. The one-turner or potential one-turner gutter runner is still around. The disgusting retrieving gutter runner is still around, and this guy who may get fired at some point is still around. But
yeah, I heard that he was
great.
thinking about firing him for this game.
Yeah. Decided to keep him around a little bit longer. I think mainly because two strength is still good enough to one die a skink, and wrestle tackle leap Agi 5. That's a tool that was valuable in this game, I think. Also still has his killer. That's the piece that I want to see go more than anything, because I think that's the piece that has pretty much, given me the most trouble every time I've played Golgothan. But
yeah, it's the gutter runners are hard enough to deal with, and then you have a killer to deal with as well, which is annoying.
An amazing killer with the full suite of everything.
Yeah.
So good game there. Any other thoughts on that one? Oh, the attrition fireball. Did you see that one?
I did not see the attrition fireball.
Turn one attrition fireball got like a single knockout, and everything else resisted. It was like a fireball on 5 things, and just didn't do anything.
I'm not surprised. Striker is always willing to do like those attrition fireballs, and if they work, they can completely swing the game.
Oh yeah, like I think there was like a gutter and a killer in that fireball. So if he had removed a gutter and a killer with that fireball, then that would have been play of the game for sure. But ended up just like taking out a lineman or something. I think it took out the kicker. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
all right.
Next up, Boba's Bounty Hunters versus the Maritime Marinated Meat. So we had a game where the Underworld went toe-to-toe with... this is Chorps, right? Yeah.
No, this is...
or Chaos.
Chaos.
Yeah, so, but the beefier team, and they went toe-to-toe, 29 blocks to 29 blocks. We had 2 kills go down. One of them was a 2-headed guard goblin, and the other one was a block 2-headed goblin. So both doubles, I believe?
Yeah.
Yeah. So a couple of
really good not the 2 heads is normals, but guard and the block.
Yeah, guard and block, yeah. Yeah. So both good, well-developed pieces. And I think it was a Blodgestep guard, so it was like a really good goblin that you can put into really gross places. And yep, those are gone now. Killer's still around. The Minotaur leveled up for Boba's Bounty Hunters, and it took Claw, so we have a clawing Chaos Minotaur now.
That is just disgusting. I hate seeing it, especially because I'm playing them this week. So if that Minotaur does work, I think Boba wins the game versus me.
Yep, very, very scary. Is Chaos Minotaurs get claw and normals, don't they?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So, yeah, very nasty. Claw, Frenzy, Mighty Blow. I wonder if he takes Piling On next. That would be great. But,
just go full on death and destruction. I wouldn't mind seeing it from Boba, to be honest.
I have seen that Minotaur, that kind of Minotaur strategy, and it surprisingly works. You just take the 3-die frenzy blocks and kill everything.
That makes sense to me.
All right. So it looks like the Underworld team though was able to pull that one out. I don't remember how we predicted there, but that probably sounds about right. They just they did come out a little bit worse for wear though.
That's all right. At the same time, you don't want to have too bloaty of goblins on Underworld. You want to have just the bloat on the correct pieces.
Right.
So now he gets a few more inducements to work with. So.
Yep, and he still has his main killer. Hopefully, we'll see some development on the other blitzer soon. But that's the key to that team is having good killers and playing that dirty rat game.
Yeah, having good killers, and he has a reliable scoring threat.
Mm-hmm.
And this is one thing I want to bring up. That is too good of a piece right now to not have on the hit list for what an Underworld team is.
For the...
As a runner. As the thrower.
As the thrower?
Yeah.
It's a really good piece, but I still stand by. I think that piece needs another level to really be hit list material, because right now and I think, and this is maybe just me personally, I think if this extra arms were instead big hand, I would be right there with you, because a retriever that just runs in there and steals the ball.
I kind of disagree with that part. I think if it's two heads, that would be a really, really good piece instead of extra arms, since you already have sure hands.
Sure. Either one of those, really, yeah. Would make it, it would make it more of a nightmare. But I think one more level up.
At the same time,
yeah.
This is just me, like, having played Underworld back when I first started, so I kind of know how the team works. Is basically I'm just looking at this roster, and usually most of the time when you're playing Underworld, you kind of depend on removals to make your offense easy.
Sure.
But with this thrower, you don't have to depend on removals to get a score. So it's hit list material because of the value it brings to an Underworld team, in my opinion.
Sure. I think it's still slightly up for debate, but I can see where you're coming from. That is a piece that the team needs to function, or gives it another viable way to function. If the killer's not going off, they can still just go out there and score. It's a great piece for sure. I kind of reserve the hit list for the greatest of the great, though, in my eyes. And this piece is great, but it's not the greatest of the great, I don't think. Just that's an opinion thing.
Yeah.
Let's see here. In this matchup, we did have some development on the other side of the pitch. We picked up... Oh, wait, nope, I'm looking at match ahead. Excuse me. So, yeah, I think that's it for that match. Any other thoughts on Boba and Goblin Marine's game?
I'm just disappointed that Goblin didn't kill more of Boba's things, to be honest.
Well, and I'm disappointed to still see that killer rat around, because killer rats are just the bane of my existence. But that is kind of his whole team, too.
Yeah.
So next up, we have the Boblonic Blighthawks versus Team Happy Orcs. Lockrest taking it down. 2-0.
A nice, convincing 2-0 win. It's weird what happens when you're not playing 500 TV down. You have a very convincing win.
Yeah, 50 blocks to 39, so definitely had the block advantage. 6 knockouts, but no injuries. So it sounds like they were able to get some removals to facilitate this 2-0, but no actual damage done. The Bubonic Blighthawks, on the other hand, killed a player and injured a player. Was a dead lineman, and I think the injury was a badly hurt.
Yeah. Looking at Lawcrest's team,
Mm-hmm.
he has a thrower that has a level up, which I'm assuming, unless it's something crazy, he's going to take block.
Yep, and a blitzer.
A block thrower. Yeah, and the blitzer, I'm kind of expecting guard on him, just to help out with the brawls in the middle.
Yeah,
But this is a very good team development-wise. He's a couple of SPP away from probably getting a Palmer. The Lodge Blitzer probably is going to get guard.
Yeah, this team is coming along very well. The only thing that is slightly holding it back a little bit is I really want to see a little bit more development on the Black Orcs. To me, on these strength teams, you can't undervalue that enough. Like, Blitzers are easy to level up compared to getting levels on those Black Orcs, and it's somewhat out of your control early on, but yeah, I'd like to see some more block and just basic skills on those to make them more reliable.
Yeah, and I do know who they're playing this week. We kind of previewed it in our first week, but it's going to be an interesting game for sure.
Yeah.
So that was that. Matt, he took a Pestigore, and that's what he bought with all of his cash. So
on Mateo's team, where is he at? Yep.
The bubonic Blighthawks, yeah.
Yep.
So it's looking like just a good development on the Nurgle side, as much as you can get.
Yep. They were able to pick up block on the Claw Warrior, and they also picked up a dirty player, which I love. We have, I think this is a new Pestigore. How many Pestigores do we have on the team? 1, 2.
That's it.
Just two Pestigores. Yep. Right time to pick up a Pestigore. This team's still floating 170k, so they could pick up a Rotter, pick up a Pestigore.
Yeah.
Possibly.
I don't know how he's going to play it. I know when I first started with Nurgle, I was just like, I want my Pestigores as quickly as possible. So as soon as I had the cash, I bought them.
Mm-hmm.
But it sounds like he's playing it a much more passive style of I want to get the development first, and then I get it, which is the right thing to do.
Yep, that's how I tend to try and play it too, because you don't want to deprive. When you have 4 Pestigores, you tend to spread out your SPP among them, and I think you also tend to rely on the Pestigores more than you rely on the Nurgle Warriors. So I do like the choice to minimize your Pestigores early on. I don't hate carrying 13 players though, so I wouldn't mind seeing a Rotter picked up just so you can make better use of that dirty player. Having a couple of players on the bench makes you a little more free to foul away.
Yeah, I completely agree. It's a very nice Nurgle team for what it's at.
Yep, looking good. So that said, we have the next week's matchups to talk about. So we have Aerial Assault versus Ender's Shadow. So we have another Elfie agility team versus the Lizards. What do you think's going to happen here?
9. I think this is going to be the classic Striker game of he relies on getting POWs and doesn't get POWs. And S-Hunter's going to win.
So S-Hunter is picking up 120k worth of loner linemen. What does that put us?
Which would put him at 1490.
1490 versus... So, yeah.
Striker, if he wanted to be spiteful, he could pick up a wizard if he invested all of his cash.
I don't see that.
Yeah, I don't see it either, but
worth it.
What I personally think is that he might probably gonna just take Babe. He might take a bribe because it's Striker.
Mm-hmm.
So, if anything, I'd put my money on him taking a bribe.
I can see that. I can see taking a bribe because you want to be able to make sure, like, if you lose a source or something randomly, because even though you're not playing a bashy team, you never know whenever something's going to go horribly wrong.
Yeah.
So if you have 50k in the bank, with 30k in winnings, you're going, an average winning roll, you're going to be able to replace a source if you need to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I can see taking a bribe and getting a little foul heavy on this team. Fortunately for the Lizards, this strength up player is out for the game. So
he was the most annoying thing to deal with.
Absolutely. So the Lizards, and there's no guard on this team either. So the Lizards will definitely have a very good strength advantage. So it's going to straight up matter if It's basically going to be, does Mighty Blow fire for the lizards and break some of these guys down, or if that fails, then the elves are going to run their elf game.
Yeah, and I know Stryker really relies on getting pals sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that he's probably going to do that, and he might just have a bit of a letdown, and I think S Hunter is going to win personally.
Yeah, I think I would give the edge to S Hunter as well. But it's not as big of a gap as I think I would normally say. He does have this leap player, which is going to allow him to make some of those silly leap into the cage and hit that skink with a 2 dice. So
Yep.
yeah, I think the elves have the ability to do elf things, but it could very easily go the other way. If some pals fire off, if Stryker gets some good Mighty Blow hits on the line of scrimmage early on, all of a sudden we could be looking at a game that's really tough for S Hunter to do anything with.
Yeah, I agree with that as well. It should be a fun one. I can't wait to see it get streamed.
Yep, that's one I'm looking to watch. So next up, we have a game that you might have a slight bias in. Boba's Bounty Hunters versus Experiments Gone Wrong.
Me bias? No.
So you're saying Boba's going to win? By how much?
I'm not saying that. The real thing that we're going to be paying attention to is Boba and I have a history of absolutely decimating the other person's team. The first ever matchup I had versus Boba was like my 10th ever multiplayer game, and he pitch cleared my Necro.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had a revenge game the next knockout tournament in Windy City where I basically pitch cleared his lizards because I had a Mighty Blow werewolf. And it just didn't work that game.
So looking at the two teams, you've got the much scarier team, but you're going to be on 1870 unless you decide to fire a player or do something, unorthodox. But I'm just going to assume you're on 1870. And Boba's Bounty Hunters are on 1440, so that means they're going to get 430k in inducements. So
well, part of it is 50k cash, so 420 in inducements, right? I don't know how much you said.
He doesn't have. He's got 140k cash.
No, I have 200k in cash, so 50 of it is...
okay, got it. So the 50 of it, that'll go away, I assume. Okay,
yep.
So that will be 1820. So you'll get 380. Is that right? I think that's right. But either way,
he's going to get a lot.
Once you approach that 400k in inducements, that's whenever you start getting to the point where, like, about anything over 300k to me, it starts getting into these inducements aren't worth it anymore.
Well, the thing is that he does have killers. He does have more developed warriors. Some good inducements could go a long way in this match.
No dirty player. So he's going to have a couple
of options.
He could induce one. He could induce a chainsaw and some bribes.
Yep.
So, but I don't know if I like that route, just because, maybe I do, but I'm not 100% sure, just because right now you're on 14 players. So, whenever you have that deep of a bench, it's hard to do enough damage to make it stick. But that could end up being a very bloody game. We've got the Claw Mighty Blow Minotaur, and then on your side, we have the Claw Mighty Blow piling on killer. So both sides have a piece to decimate the other side if they can. You also have the dirty player.
Yep. Both sides have a lot of Mighty Blow. Both sides have... It's going to be a bloody game.
Yep.
This is what it's going to be, a bloody game. Boba no longer has the Agility 4 thing, so... that's one thing that we forgot to talk about. That thing died.
Yep. Yeah.
So we're on Boba Fett the third.
That is too bad. I like seeing Agility 4 Beastmen. That's those are fun.
Yeah.
So,
but this is gonna be it's gonna be a difficult game. It's gonna be a fun game. It's gonna be a bloody game.
I think offhand I would give the advantage to the Nurgle because Regen can do a thing, and it's going to be hard for him to do lasting damage to your team, the lasting damage that he wants to do to run away with that. So I think I'm going to give the edge to you. But if Regen doesn't fire, or if the KOs just stay out, things like that, it could go his way.
It could, and I would not be surprised. I would not be surprised if everything died this game, because that's how things go versus Boba.
Right. All right, so next up on the list, we've got the Scourge of Saltspire versus the Bubonic Blighthawks. So that is Golgothan's 1,700 rats, who are now with a fresh gutter runner, versus Mateo's Nurgle, who this is the start of an amazing Nurgle team, but does not have any tackle yet, and is lacking a little bit of development, but has some really good potential here. So what are your thoughts? He's getting nearly 400k.
320 as it stands
320.
currently.
Yeah.
This is a team that I think, in theory, not even in theory, it's going to be a Golgothan.
Yep.
I just know how he plays. He has the advantage. He's going to have to deal with some inducements, but I think he can handle it well. And the one thing I'm really intrigued with is, does Golgothan just kick out his Niable Snarl, the plus strength busted gutter runner, and does he just say, all right, I need to start fresh with 2 gutters at this time?
Very well could. This would be a good game to do that on, because you're running up against 0 tackle.
Yep.
Yeah. He's not going to be able to do a lot of the handoffs and passes to get a very high-scoring game, just because Nurgle, with their disturbing presence, can really put a hampering on that. But yeah, this would be a good game to kickstart a gutter if you just wanted to throw that on the team and go with it. Reduce the inducements by a little bit, and yeah.
By a little bit, it's an entire wizard that he'd reduce it by.
Yes, yeah. With the bloaty strength piece, I think you definitely. Wow, that is a ton. Yeah, you definitely fire this guy. I think this game now would be a good time to do it.
Yeah,
that does hurt your bankroll, so that's scary a little bit, right? Because you're going down to 20k in the bank. So if you take some painful losses that game, you're in trouble. But I think, with no tackle on the team, you take the risk.
Yeah, I would take the risk. The only thing that you really worry about is 30 player.
Yep. So I think we both agree Golgothan's going to take this one. Yeah, but we'll see what happens with those inducements. You never know. Maybe that attrition fireball will fire this time. So last up, oh no, this is a scary one. I don't even want to talk about this one. Maritime Marinated Meat versus Team Happy Orcs. We have. Are
they going to be happy after this one?
Yeah, I don't know. So we know Lawcrest is a great coach, and we know Goblin Marine has one of the best killers in the league.
The best killer. I'll just put it out there.
I don't know. The Golgothan's killer, I think, gives him a run for his money despite the move bust. But
well, it's a move bust, but at the same time, it's all the same things except where's Goblin Marine's team?
Yeah, he has horns.
Yeah, he has horns, and it's just a nasty killer. Where
Golgothan's has pro.
It does have pro, but at the same time, this killer, it just has horns, so it can fight those bigger things. And it's the only piece that you really care about protecting besides your movement 8 blodge thing.
Right.
So this is a killer that is just going to be dedicated to killing all the time, whereas Golgothan will probably sacrifice it to save some gutter runners at some point. But having probably the best killer versus Team Happy Orcs makes them Team Sad Orcs this game.
But they have shown that Lockrest has shown great positional skill, plays a really good game. I don't know. It's really just going to depend. Does that killer kill or not?
Yeah. And I think if it does kill, it is 100% Goblin Marine, and if it doesn't kill, it is 100% Lawcrest.
Yeah, I really fear for these Black Orcs this game. That's what I'm afraid of. Like, that... Because the Black Orcs don't have block yet, so that means it's a 50-50 chance to knock one down on one die. That gives you 75% chance to knock one down on 2 die. So if he's generating 2 die blocks with his killer, these things are going down, and they're getting Claw Mighty Blow piled on.
Yep. It's just going to be a fun game to watch, in my mind. I have to go Goblin Marine. What are you thinking?
Oh, it makes me scared to even think about it. I'm going to give the game to Lawcrest just because I want to see this Orc team develop more, and I think if he doesn't win this game, that means his team's going to be disintegrated.
That makes sense to me.
All right. And, yeah, I think that covers all the matches. Any other thoughts or...
I just barely realized this looking at the leaderboard. Capone, everybody has won or lost. There's no ties.
No ties. So clear leaders coming out. We've got Lawcrest is in first, Golgothan in second, the True Blue in third, and Goblin Marine in fourth. So line in the sand starting to draw up there. Yeah.
Yeah, with this being a 7-week season, every week is very, very important in winning. Unlike Rebel, where you have the 13-week marathon that you play, where you could probably sacrifice 3 games and still make playoffs.
With 7 weeks, I think you can still lose 2 games and be completely fine to make playoffs, especially since top 3 are making it, correct?
The top 3 are making it,
Yep.
and there's the wild card to make it the 4th team, but it's still going to be difficult.
Depending
to
on
make playoffs.
Depending on the number of draws and things like that, yeah, you want to minimize your losses, but no one is out at this point. Anyone from Team Happy Yorks all the way down to the Bubonic Blackhawks is still in this. It just matters how these next few weeks play out.
Definitely. Well, that's all I have to say this week. Anything you want to say, Big Chuck?
No, I appreciate everyone joining, and we'll see you all next week.